Right, today we're going to learn a little bit about circuit diagrams. We have talked about how an electrical circuit must have different parts in order for the electric current to flow through. Now, if you look at this diagram here, the one on the left shows you the actual diagram, the electrical circuit, which you have the bulb, the battery, and the switch, and the wires. Now, if you look at the diagram on the right, just beside, you will notice that instead of drawing out the full details of the components, I can actually replace it using symbols. Now, if you compare the two, which of it is easier to draw? Now, in actual fact, when we draw circuit diagrams, we can simplify it by using symbols. So one way is this. When we draw a battery, we can just represent it by this symbol here. It's a longer line followed by a shorter line. And one long line represents the positive terminal and the shorter line represents the negative terminal. So one long and one short represents one battery, okay, with the two positive as well as negative terminals. Now for wire, all we need to draw is just a line to represent wires. For the bulb, now it is actually quite difficult to draw a full diagram of a bulb, the actual diagram. So we just can replace it with a symbol. It is simply just a circle with a cross. All right, so that represents a bulb, which is so much easier. Now for switch, in terms of symbols, these are the two symbols that we use. If we have a closed switch, all right, it's just closed like this, as can be seen. If it is an open switch, okay, we'll draw it in a different way to show the gap. That shows that it is an open circuit with an open switch. So this diagram, as we can see, can be simplified by a circuit diagram, which is a lot easier. And it actually means the same thing, right? It has one battery, so that's why you have two strokes, right? One short and one long, one bulb, and one switch. Now, we also mentioned about conductors, electrical conductors, and what they are. Simply, electrical conductors are usually made of materials that allow electric current to flow through. Now, in our previous lessons, we actually saw that there are some materials that if we put them to connect to our electric circuit, it allows the bulb to pass through. That's because current can flow. Okay, current can flow through such materials and they are called electrical conductors. And most electrical conductors are actually made of metal. Now, there are different types of metal. Some examples are like steel, iron, copper, and so on. There's also another category, the types of materials. They are insulators or electrical insulators. There's the opposite of electrical conductors. So these are materials that are non-metals, all right, non-metals, and there are many examples like rubber, plastic, cloth. And these kind of materials, they do not allow electric current to flow through. So if we were to connect any of these materials to the electric circuit, we will see that the bulb will not light up because current can't flow through. All right, now in our science activity book, we actually did this activity. All right, just a recap. And we use these objects and materials. And if you had observed the video, and you would have noticed that these are the materials that the objects are made up of, and the observation are as follows, as can be seen in this table. So what do you notice here? You notice that aluminum foil, if it is connected to aluminum foil, the bulb will light up. If it is connected to the nail, the bulb light up. And as for the rest of the objects, all the bulbs don't light up. So only aluminum foil and nail. And we also see that actually for aluminum foil and nail, both of them are made of metal. Okay? So in other words, all metals are electrical conductors, and all non-metals are electrical insulators.